We are the party who will crack down on tax planning, on systemic practices where people are trying to avoid paying the tax Parliament intends in order to get round the law, and that's wrong. And we'll act in the way the Tories haven't.
Sorry, would you crack down on variation of deed, that kind of tax planning? Because Gordon Brown, for whom you both worked, said this was the wrong kind of thing to do. He was against it.
Look, what we will do is we will look at every area of tax
including
law.
this one.
I set out a whole series of areas last Wednesday. I will look at every area. The intention of Parliament. I'll look at every area.
Okay.
The intention of Parliament must be delivered. In the case of an individual savings account, that's there to allow people to pay less tax on savings, or the film tax relief, or entrepreneurs relief. We have ways in which people can sensibly plan for their children and for their death and for their inheritance. But if people are actually setting up false structures to avoid paying tax, or going off to live in Switzerland in order to avoid paying their fair share of tax, we'll crack down. That's what people want. We'll do that in the way the Tories have completely failed.
The other Ed said yesterday that you're going to have a root and branch reform of HMRC. Do you regard that as having the wrong culture, not being fit for purpose at the moment? There have been all sorts of stories about cosy suppers between the bosses of HMRC and people who are avoiding their taxes, and sweetheart deals and so forth.
Look, I think there's some good people in the HMRC. They're under huge pressure because there's been large cuts in staff numbers. I don't know whether the issue about not doing prosecutions and instead collecting revenue has come from ministers, or whether that's a decision within the department. But I want to make sure that they've got the resources they need, that the legal framework is right, the culture is tough.
Do you think the culture is tough enough at the moment?
Well, look, when we brought together the old Inland Revenue and Customs and Excise, that was because we wanted to get some of the tough investigation, custom and excise type culture into the revenue.
Hasn't worked, has it?
I'm not sure it's worked well enough, but that in the end, of course, depends upon the remit set by the Chancellor and whether the resourcing and the message goes in. My fear, in the case of HSBC and the HMRC, is the message has gone in from the top of the government, from the Chancellor and the Prime Minister, not to engage enough, to turn a blind eye. It's why they didn't ask the difficult questions about Lord Green. We will send a different signal into this machine. We want to collect the tax, we'll toughen up the law, and we will make sure that the revenue is collected.